Hi, Prakash here. A couple of decades ago, I had a friend of mine who's a businessman. He wanted to start a project which would have taken about 2.5 years to culminate, and then the production of whatever he wanted to start was supposed to happen. He went ahead and looked at the project, and it was supposed to cost him between 100 to 150 crores. I used to advise him a bit those days. And during this time, everything seemed to be in place. And when he started the project, there was, after a gap of 6 months to 1 year, the local assembly elections for the state took place. And as is normally known, the opposition party defeated the party which was in ruling and came to power. He was actually starting the project on the basis of his connection with the ruling party, hoping that the continuation of power will help him to even out things and then come out with a project in all its glory. And it so happened that when the opposition came to power, it stalled and put a lot of blocks to his project, and it was a very, very long time before the project actually took off, by which time he had lost steam. The uniqueness of the product that he was supposed to launch was gone, and all that. He did finally make it, but after a lot of struggle, which could have easily been avoided had he looked at one of the most important aspects of business, what we call as risk mitigation. He did not do risk mitigation. Why this topic assumes significance in the current situation of COVID? Each and every one of you who is a businessman or a top executive will be looking at relaunching the product or the service with newer ways of doing things. If you do not look at risk mitigation, there is a very good possibility that whatever ideas that you have might be very difficult before it actually becomes reality. Let's look at the process in simple terms to understand how risk mitigation can be approached. I'll give you a very simple framework which can be straight away used in your day to day business. Of course, you can reach out to us for help and support. Everything starts with a vision. That's why they say the why of every business starts with the vision. Why am I doing this? If you have a broader vision, those visions or a vision, if it's as and when it becomes clear, leads you to goals. The what of the why, the what portion of the why being the vision. The what portion is the goal or the goals which will take you towards the vision. So far, so good. The what now becomes the plans, which is nothing but how am I going to reach the what, which is part of the why. You get a picture? The why leads to what and then to the how. Now comes the important question, whether this how, the plan, will be successful or not. Whether the path that I am taking towards achieving the goal, which is the what, the why, the what, the how, and then whether this how is the right path. Okay, let me put it in very much simpler terms. I write down a vision, I break it down into one or more goals, and each of the goal I write down as chronological planning steps. Planning is nothing but the sequence of steps that you take from the time you start the goal till you achieve the goal. For example, I am building a house. Why is the broader vision? The what is the goal in terms of the actual completed house and what it will really produce in terms of the comfort or the size of the house and things like that. Now comes the house, which is the planning aspect. I take it to an architect and then I break it down into further parts, get into plumbing, electrical, and things like that, which is what leads us to the planning steps. Chronological events from the time I start building the house. The chronological event is I get the plan sanctioned, I go to a bank, I take a loan, and then once all those things are in place, I move into the construction side. I don't straight away go to the third floor, which is not possible. Then, hence, I start with the laying of the foundation stone and then do the foundation and then go by floor. Until the basic structure is ready, I can't move into the next level of doing the base work for plumbing and electrical. These are the chronological sequence of events which is part of the plan. Whether I should do it or not, what are the pitfalls is where the real risk mitigation lies. Risk mitigation is nothing but a simple process of looking at each planning step critically to see what are the challenges I am going to face. If the challenges I am going to face is something possible for me to solve or not. If you cannot solve it, you need to find a way to solve. If you are not able to find a way to solve, it's as good as not going ahead with the construction. This is exactly the pitfall that my friend or my client went through and he did not foresee. For example, I see a challenge and I see that this is going to be a difficult. For example, the bank loan that I'm going to apply for is not going to come through easily. Would I still go ahead and commit the rest of the funds to buying the needed materials to build the house? Obviously not. It's going to be a waste of time and efforts and my money. When it comes to risk mitigation, when you look at the plan critically, there are two things that will emerge. I'll be able to prevent this problem from occurring even before it occurs. Then you do what is known as a preventive planning. For example, I am arranging a marriage reception function. It might be raining that day. Hence, to prevent the rain from affecting, I can look at either erecting a shamiana or I can move into a closed place to continue with the reception. That is to prevent the impact of the plan even before the plan impacts the output, which means I am able to predict and prevent. There are times you will not be able to prevent it, but you will be able to predict. For example, during the marriage function, there could be a power failure. Knowing the area, you will be able to predict that the power might fail. But can you prevent it? Maybe not. In which case, you go through the process known as contingency planning. So, a contingency plan is when you can predict a failure, but you cannot prevent it, but you can create a backup. Hence, if there is a power failure, I keep a genset on hand, which is a preventive plan. When I have both these options in place, what is likely to happen is the chances of failure of my plan gets lesser and lesser, and this is the process of risk mitigation. Just to put the entire story in place, start at the vision, which is the why, move into the goals, which is the what, move into the plan, which is the how, and then move into risk mitigation. It is whether this planning step will affect the end result or not. Will I be able to overcome? Can I prevent? Can I have a contingency plan? If I neither can prevent nor can I have a contingency plan, it is best that you don't start with the goal or with the activity at all. When you have mastered this process for whatever you do, surviving in these tough times, stabilizing and surging ahead becomes much more easier with predictable results. I wish you the very best. Reach out to the experts, reach out to us if you need support. We are all there to help you. Good luck.